House Democrats launching sweeping investigations into nearly every facet of President Trump's life, both before and after the inauguration. House Judiciary Chair Jerry Nadler spearheading much of that effort. His counterpart of the panel is the ranking member, our headliner today, Georgia Republican Doug Collins. Sir, how you doing? And good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Some are encouraging caution on this. Others are saying, let's go for it. What do you think they do?
They're going to choose the path of going forward with no idea where they're going. They remind me of a teenager who just got in front of and behind the wheel of a car, not really sure, but they know the gas pedal works, and that's what they're doing. Eventually, they're going to have to figure out that the brake actually works too. It's not helpful to anything we're going through right now. And what they're saying is they have a conclusions of what they want, and now they're having to go find their facts to get there.
And as far as introducing articles of impeachment and the move that we are seeing in that direction on the left, here's Congresswoman Tlaib on that yesterday. Number 4.
Remember, this is setting a precedent. If we don't hold impeachment proceedings today, start them today and hold him accountable to following the United States Constitution, think about that. This is not going to be the last CEO that runs for President of the United States. This is not going to be the last person that tries to get away with this. And what does that say about the most powerful, most important most important position in the world?
How will this work out for them, Congressman?
I think it's going to work out badly because the American people are seeing that they're just going to the extremes. So what's really interesting, 2 points of what she just said is number one, we have to start impeachment now. I'm glad to see she has Mr. Steyer's talking points because that's exactly what he's been saying since November of 2016. But then she also, if you notice there was also an attack on anybody who's been a successful business person because she said somebody else may get there. And that's just a subtle attack, on anyone that doesn't fit their mold of what public service ought to look like. And when we understand what's going on here, we understand the vast political pressure. Look, all of their leadership, including Chairman Nadler, even Ms. Pelosi and others have said, we don't have information enough for the impeachment process. We don't know of anything, but yet you have members undoubtedly who have this vast amount of knowledge on things that even their leadership don't have. It's not going to play well. The American people see what's going on. They're just overplaying their hand as usual, and it's going to play in badly. We're just going to keep focusing on the truth.
Her exact words, this is not going to be the last CEO that runs for President of the United States, as you point out there. On Michael Cohen, there was news on him today. It broke overnight. Did he lie before that committee 8 days ago?
It sure seems that way, and that's why my colleagues Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows referred that for perjury. This is a man who is just probably from an old background of mine from being an attorney. Is sometimes their best bet is just to be quiet. Sometimes your best bet to not continually bring up things that in the end are contradiction of your own statements. Your best bet is instead of to try and either make a name for yourself, do something before you go to jail, is sometimes you just need to be quiet. What Michael Cohen is doing is just trying to spread as much pain as he possibly can, because he obviously doesn't understand his own situation, and he's just flashing out at the world. And this is unfortunate to see this actually play out the way it is.
So Lanny Davis, his attorney, he was sitting behind Michael Cohen last week. He ushered him through Congress, right, before that hearing. He put out a long statement. This is just part of it now, okay? Prior to Michael Cohen's decision to leave the Joint Defense Group, he writes, and tell the truth, on July 2, 2018, Michael was open to the ongoing dangling of a possible pardon by Trump representatives privately and in the media. During that time period, he directed his attorney to explore possibilities of a pardon. I've gone through that statement. I don't hear Lanny Davis say this is not true. Do you?
No, I do not. This is the problem that Michael Cohen needed. Michael Cohen needed an attorney, not a publicity agent. He had a publicity agent in Lanny Davis who was trying to recreate his own fame and career by marching this through and working with the Democrats to bring him forward. Mr. Cohen needed an actual attorney. Obviously, he was let down by this. Maybe he needs to check into that.
That's his call.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing here. Think about it. This is an attorney who should be there helping you, but yet at the same very point in time, he doesn't deny what's happening. He doesn't step forward and say, think about what you're saying. And it just seems like, again, Lanny Davis orchestrated a media event instead of actually being the attorney that he claimed to be. This is how far out of field this has gotten when you understand that they've lost track of what they're trying to do because they're so desperate to find something to stick on this president that they're willing to try anything possible. American people see through that, and frankly, the Democrats that I privately talk to are becoming more and more concerned that they've lost complete messaging. I was just listening to an interview being done up here on the Hill, and there were a Democrat complaining about the fact that nobody's talking about the fact that they passed a very bad gun bill or that they're working on destroying our election system. They're upset because they're having to deal with all this other stuff. So this is a bad pause for them.
Meanwhile, a fiery hearing on Capitol Hill yesterday where we saw the Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen testifying before Congress, really describing a situation that she says is only getting worse, on pace for 1 million illegal border crossings this year. She laid that out. Sat number 6, here she is describing just how bad it's gotten at our southern border.
Today's migrant flows have created a humanitarian catastrophe. In one study, more than 30% of women reported sexual assault along the way, and 70% of all migrants reported experiencing violence.
Did she make any ground making the administration's case in that hearing room yesterday, Congressman?
I believe she did. When you start seeing headlines on the Washington Post, the New York Times, not conservative groups that are saying the exact same thing, that this border crisis is escalating, I find it hard to believe that there's any United States senator who would vote to approve this resolution of disapproval for building our border wall when the case is being made that there is an emergency at the border. The president is making that case. Secretary Nielsen made that case yesterday. And for them to actually say there's not a crisis, or they try to focus the attention on it might be not constitutional, which is not true. It is by statute he can do this. They're doing the American people a disservice. She's making the case. People are understanding. People back home in my district and people I talk to understand that you can't have an open border and not experience the consequences of that open border.
Sir, we really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on, and we'll speak again, okay?
I look forward to that. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks for
Take
being
care.
our headliner. You bet. You too.
Thanks.
This week, First Lady Melania Trump took a 3-state tour to promote her Be Best initiative for children. Stephanie Grisham, the First Lady's press secretary and communications director, joins me now with more. Good evening, Stephanie. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, you have a very important position, and one that I have a feeling that a lot of Americans would like to be a fly on the wall in your office with Melania Trump. But let me start talking about what the First Lady is doing with this Be Best campaign. I understand that she is, leaving the 3-state tour to promote her anti-bullying campaign, Be Best. Tell us about that campaign.
Yes, so Be Best has 3 pillars, and so there's well-being, the well-being of children, and then there is social media safety, and then opioids abuse. So we just finished our West Coast tour. She visited 3 states, and it was 1 state per pillar to talk about those 3 topics.
And what grade was she speaking to?
The first school that we visited in Oklahoma, she visited 3 classrooms, pre-K, 2nd grade, and 6th grade. And she talked to them about the importance of character and kindness and treating each other well. When we went to Seattle, that was a visit to Microsoft headquarters, and they showed her some really amazing applications on how to have parents know how long their kids are spending online, how to turn it off if there's family time necessary, and then some great stuff for kids who are disabled and showing how they can play video games with their peers, which was great.
Well, technology, corporate America, they can add so much to people in government, and I know when I was in government, I relied on them a lot to do things that maybe schools couldn't afford to do. So that's like a public-private a partnership somewhat. But the idea of opioid abuse for kids so young, I think, is excellent, but it's very unusual.
Well, yes, so the administration, as you know, has been doing so much on opioid abuse, the West Wing and the East Wing both, and she understands that this is just such a deadly topic on behalf of young children all the way up through college. So she's expanding her reach right now. She's not just focused on younger kids. She's talking to children of all ages. A few months ago, she spoke to college kids at Liberty University. And then when we were in Las Vegas for the West Coast Swing, she spoke to an audience of all ages again and just about the dangers of opioid abuse. She's a mother first and foremost. Obviously, that's a fear and a concern for her. So that has been added to our pillars.
I'm curious as to how she is received. I mean, she's got incredible numbers in this country. I mean, the percentages when she polls, is she like 70% or something?
Yeah, she polls very, very well. She's so well received everywhere that we go. Everybody loves her, which I don't blame them. She's an amazing First Lady. She's so focused on her job as First Lady, and I'm very, very proud to work for her.
She's the kind of woman who is not only focused, but you can tell that she doesn't let the petty stuff get in the way. She doesn't let it bother her. And I have to tell you, I mean, while you're here and on television, or just between us, everybody talks about the President and the First Lady, and I know them, and I've known them. Can you tell the viewers, I mean, what they're like when they're together?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to see some behind-the-scenes things, and they're great. They have a great relationship. They laugh a lot. She's really a rock for the family, especially with all the nonsense and the noise that's out there. So they have a great relationship, despite what some of the critics might say.
Well, and, you know, you can really see it. I mean, if you know them, they are an incredible couple, and it's good that she's getting out, and I think that she's going to be a tremendous advantage for the president gearing up to the 2020. Anyway, Stephanie Grisham, it's so good to have you on, Justice. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
This week, the House of Representatives passed H.R. 1, a giant bill which the Democrats claim would get big money out of politics.
H.R. 1 restores the people's faith that government works for the public interest, the people's interest, not the special interest.
It grabs power away from the special interests, the elites, the 1%, and gives it to the American people.
Let's show the American people that this is the people's house, not the house of corporate interests and lobbyists and dark money.
Not corporate interests, not lobbyists, we hate them. But hang on a second, in all its 444 pages, this bill makes no mention of some obvious ways to control corporate interests and lobbying. Last week, we called for a total ban on foreign government lobbying, and we got a huge reaction. Guy wrote, "Agreed, yes, we need to push for an end to foreign lobbying. I am sick of our politicians getting their pockets lined by lobbyists in general, then add foreign government lobbyists doing the same thing. Criminal. Make foreign lobbying against the law." The same with Kim, who wrote, "Agree, we should ban foreign lobbying. Keep nailing it, Steve." I will try. But the Democrats, they're perfectly fine with foreign government lobbying. It is not even mentioned in their bill, and no wonder. Lobbyists representing foreign governments donate to Democrats all the time, like Edward Newberry, for example. He is a Squire Patton Boggs lobbyist who represents a number of foreign clients, including the Palestinian Authority. In the 2018 cycle, he donated to Democrat Senator Joe Manchin, and a member of his family donated to Senator and 2020 presidential candidate Kirsten Gillibrand. Or how about Capitol Council lobbyist Ann Jablon, who represents a foundation sponsored by the Chinese government and donated to at least 10 Democratic House representatives in the 2018 cycle. Next, conflict donors. In my book, Positive Populism, I called for a total ban on conflict donors. I said that all politicians must recuse themselves from any legislative work on any issue involving a current or past donor. But the Democrats, they're totally fine with special interests bribing the members of Congress who regulate them. It's not even mentioned in their bill. And no wonder, in the 2018 cycle, Democrat Congressman and chair of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, Frank Pallone Jr., took over $100,000 from the electric utilities industry. House Democrat and Armed Services Committee Chairman Adam Smith received over $200,000 from defense companies, including Boeing and Northrop Grumman. And House Financial Services Committee Chairwoman Maxine Waters took over $300,000 from the financial industry. And that's only the 2018 cycle. But what about all the other swampy practices we regularly highlight on Swamp Watch? None of it touched in the Democrats' bill because they thrive off swampy practices, like corporate lobbying. The defense sector gave Democrats over $10 million in the same cycle. The omnibus bill was passed and handed hundreds of billions of dollars to defense contractors. Or the revolving door between business and government. For the Democrats, it never stops spinning. For example, Lawrence Roberts was a senior advisor to Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who's a current member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Now, Roberts is a partner at lobbying firm Venable, whose 2018 clients included a $260,000 contract with Lockheed Martin. Or how about Jason Cole? He's the current chief of staff for Representative Jim Himes, a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Before working for Himes, Cole was a lobbyist for, you guessed it, a financial services company, UBS Americas, to be exact. The truth is, the Democrats want to protect the swamp, not drain it. They don't really want to change anything. In fact, new Oversight Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings gave the game away when he said at the end of the Cohen hearing the other week,
H.R. 1, voting rights. Corruption in government. Come on now. We can do more than one thing. And we have got to get back to normal.
There you have it. Back to normal. Back to lobbyists writing legislation. Back to big donors literally buying the outcomes they want. Back to bribery, back to corruption, back to their swampy ways. No, Elijah Cummings, we most definitely do not want to get back to normal. Americans want change, but H.R. 1 is not the change they're looking for. This bill is not for the people, as the Democrats claim. It is for the swamp.